Yeah, I'll start with the usual shout outs to the community. Again, starting with the kind of more substantial contributions, especially also to the code base. And so again, highlighting AgentRev, who's been contributing substantially to the code base. He's a PR he made, splitting embodied environment into protocols. That's something Tristan suggested on his last PR, and there's been a lot of back and forth between him and Tristan, figuring out the best way to organize the protocols and define them. And he's been great at incorporating all this and, yeah, making a clean PR that got merged into Monty, even updating the documentation related to it. And then also made an update to the WSL tutorial he wrote a while ago to incorporate some changes and some issues people encountered who tried to run Monty on WSL. And then we had a PR from bshoening, who updated our README to include these license and Python badges. So it's visually easy to see. First thing you come to the repository, you see the license here. We had some PRs from mf-maymay. So on that PR that AgentRev made, yeah, a cool thing was that mf-maymay also had a look at that PR and then had some thoughts on it, and there were some discussions around that. And as a follow-on from that, made a PR on using typedig for sensor observations, and then also another PR on addressing some MyPy issues, reducing the errors from 120 to 103. And then we had a bunch of PRs from Timothy, fixing all of our spelling mistakes in the code base and the docs. There are already 14 that are closed, and then 5 are still open and being reviewed. So Monty is spelling mistake free, perhaps, after all this. So thank you, Timothy. And I think he first came across this because I shared my screen in one of the recordings and there was a spelling mistake in it, or someone shared their screen, and then kind of got started fixing that one and decided to fix all of it. Then, yeah, going to our forum, there were various first-time posts. There are more than those 3, but I'm going to highlight some of them separately for more kind of substantial posts. Some about trying to run the Omniglot tutorial, a question about bringing SDRs to Monty, and then nunoo posted about habitat IPC configuration, kind of as a follow-on of the project in Brighton and the video we shared on that. And yeah, this is also on the next slide. There was another thread from nunoo. Basically, he kind of ran with this idea and developed it much further, shared a repository and tested habitat IPC, and yeah, basically compared the runtime and figured out that it worked with very little slowdown. Test taking 12 minutes instead of 10 minutes. I think during the Brighton hackathon it was like a 10x slowdown, so seems like a great improvement, and ran some further experiments on how much traffic goes from Monty to the simulator and from the simulator back to Monty. And so, yeah, this is some exciting things he's working on and insights he's sharing. Then DLed made a thread about what if Monty had a live view, so a way to kind of live watch it to inference. And yeah, there's a lot of insights and development on that thread, a lot of kind of feedback from various people or thoughts on it. And yeah, DLed has been kind of continually developing and posting some updates on here on this live viewer, and then also shared a a draft PR just for visibility of how the code for it looks like. And yeah, basically it's like a website you can then go to while running a Monty experiment, and then uh, see. Oh, I just thought that was see live view. Oh, here, this one is the one I was thinking of. Yeah, basically see how Monty is moving around and updating hypotheses and how the evidence is developing over time as the experiment is running live. Um, so yeah, thanks for sharing that and developing that. And then Bryce Bate also shared a post of unexpected impressive things I'm learning about Monty. And he's been, yeah, interested in seeing whether some psychological phenomena like confirmation bias, inattentional blindness, and cognitive dissonance would be things that also manifest themselves in Monty or like Thousand Brain systems. And yeah, trying to design some experiments around that. And yeah, one kind of heartwarming thing that I liked reading on his introduction was, yeah, this is something very special. I want to play some small role if I can. This project has a purpose that is meaningful to me. At almost 73, finding meaning and purpose is important. Thank you all for giving me this chance to help make purposeful meaning with you. And so, yeah, really cool. And excited to see more if those experiments turn out to show some similar phenomena. Some other projects here, Tejon, I'm not sure, I hope I pronounced it okay, but is undergrad researcher testing Monty's robustness to 2D in plane rotations on the Omniglot environment. So basically taking the Omniglot characters and rotating them and seeing if Monty can recognize the rotated versions of it. And yeah, still having some conversation on there, trying to debug the environment setup and figuring out how to get it all to work, how it should. And then Alex shared some project Arachne, a robotics project, not directly involving Monty yet, perhaps. But yeah, an interesting idea. And then Daniel found an item on our future work section, the global interval timer, and yeah, wants to help on that and posted some summary of how he understands the problem and how he would tackle it. And yeah, I think with a really good understanding of it. And then Niels and I had a meeting with him this week and went over kind of how it relates to the broader picture of implementing object behaviors and how it could be implemented in Monty and kind of scoped how that could be done. So yeah, looking forward to working more together on that. There were a lot of interesting posts, a lot of kind of long discussions. There was one post here again on ICP, a lot of back and forth and interesting points and discussions on here. Stephen sharing some lessons learned after having some issues with the environment setup after OS X software update, and then nunoo asking about import skip of habitat sim. Eva Nuno posted a lot of different threads on a lot of interesting and a variety of topics. And then there were two posts around scale invariance and Monty. A post on how could Monty speak, like what are the kind of outputs of Monty, and question around relationship between the motor system configs, motor policies, and model-based policies. And then, yeah, some posts just sharing other research that might be interesting to us, which we also appreciate seeing. So a Guardian article, an interview on whether AI is missing something fundamental about the brain, and a paper on stabilizing grid cell dynamics. So yeah, thanks for sharing those. And then various people sharing or tagging the project in social media posts. from Byrce. Here, someone, giving warm praise and asking a question, and then someone else actually going in and answering that question with a plot from our paper. So yeah, thanks also for answering that question right away. And some, just nice messages, kind words from people, and here's someone tagging us on a recent neuroscience paper on layer 6B and its potential role in attention. So that's also always nice if you see a paper that you think might be relevant, tagging us on there. And then also some kind words on LinkedIn. So thanks a lot for all the contributions and kind words and interesting discussions on the forum. Oh, I forgot one. I guess that might be interesting. There was also a thread on the risks and benefits of open source, which I thought was great to hear from various people with various opinions on the kind of risks and benefits of having an open source project and talking openly about the topic and things that can be done to make sure the technology we develop is used in good ways.